America and Europe are now drifting apart quite quickly. It's not just Trump. There are some other major factors, but Trump is going to exacerbate that really quickly. First factor is, of course, Israel. All of the European countries, with the exception of Belarus, so this is all the EU countries and the other European countries like Switzerland and Norway, are signatories of the International Criminal Court. And they have all been saying, with the exception of Orban in Hungary, that they will respect the ICC's decision and would arrest Netanyahu were he to land on their soil. The European Union has said this as a whole, that it's the responsibility of all members to do so, but independently you've got France and Spain and Italy and the Netherlands, Sweden, all declaring already that they would, as well as other European countries outside the EU, like Switzerland and Norway. The UK has now said it would as well, and I think Germany, I can't see it not at this stage, even though that's very uncomfortable for Germany. I can't see how they couldn't. And of course, Canada has as well. Now, America is not a signatory. It has long been hostile to the ICC and has even put sanctions on the ICC and its members before. But now this has really come to a head as a global division, because you can see the response of Biden and you can see the response of particularly Republican senators about this latest ICC ruling on Netanyahu and Gallant. So that's division number one. And it also lines up with a long-standing division in the United Nations, and particularly the United Nations Security Council, where America has very often vetoed resolutions that everyone else has agreed on and is for. But this brings it into starker resolution now at this stage, with the ICC involved as well. And that's a real rift. Now, on top of that, when Trump comes in, there is going to be another rift, and that is on the matter of the protection of Europe against Russia. It is very clear that Europe is determined to defend Ukraine's borders, and it's very clear that Trump just wants something settled, and he is an admirer of Putin, and he has made hostile noises about Europe as a whole, and was a supporter of Brexit and would like to see Brexit happen all over Europe. And furthermore, he has no respect for Ukraine's borders, even to the degree whereby he is prepared to throw previous administrations and American behavior under the bus and go with the line that we poked the bear and we abused that country with our interference. So yeah, fair enough that Russia now gets to abuse it too. Either way, that also is going to cause a major rift with Europe, because Europe will not be happy about Trump's planned solutions there, and it will probably not be happy about Trump's planned solutions for Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank, where they will hold very much to a two-state solution, but Trump probably won't. Then on top of that, you have the trade issues, which Trump wants to bring in. He has long thought that Europe has done a dirty on the States in terms of not allowing in all the American produce that he wants, and so he's ready to go to war with China and Europe in terms of tariffs and try to cause problems there. And this will cause a lot of resentment back and forth. And then finally, there's the issue of interference. And it's likely that the right wing in the States is going to be increasingly wishing to cause interference within Europe alongside Israel and Russia, and to a lesser degree, Iran. But there is going to be political interference in Europe that is quite aggressive. And the fact that he has lined up with Elon Musk, who has already extremely aggressive with his use of his platform X in the UK and against the UK government means that even in the space of artificial intelligence and social media and information sharing, there could be a lot of standoffs and battles there. Either way, culturally, there is a clear rift opening up between the US government, I'm not talking about all Americans here, the US government and where Europe is headed. And that is going to cause big changes in global dynamics too. And for my country, the UK, that left the EU and the population at large are tending to regret it at the moment, the arrival of Trump makes a really stark contrast between a future with Trump, where Trump and Nigel Farage are likely to try and pull the UK closer to Trump, and a lot of the country is going to try and reject it, basically puts the UK in a choice of, do we want to try and play around in the middle ground here, stand in the middle of the road? Do we want to roll in with Trump? Or do we want to get back with Europe for the sake of our common defense, our values, our consumer protections and standards, our ethics and our sense of international law? And I think that the UK is strongly going to lurch back to try and rebuild a stronger Europe that can keep away the other superpowers. And I want to say at this stage that I know there's a lot of Americans that know exactly what I'm saying and would very much like their country to go in the direction of supporting international law and better consumer standards and better quality food and investment in the populations at large and all of the European standards. And I think that as hostilities grow between the States and Europe at large, as they might do, we must never forget that common bond that we have as Brits and Europeans with our fellow like-minded Americans. But I think we're in for big geopolitical divisions and rough waters. And then be my thoughts.